To the top, here I go, think I'm chosen to be the king of rock, think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion.
Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome back to the Fat Boy Cartel podcast. Tonight I will be doing a review for the Smackdown show on May 21st, 2021. I don't know, if you're finding us for the very first time, please click that like and subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content on our channel. Well, tonight I'm kind of going to go solo a little bit here. It was a little bit late when we got done recording the podcast for this Sunday, so I decided to do this video here alone. The show started off with Sonya Deville. She was standing in the ring to start SmackDown. She announced that WWE is going to go back on the road in July. Thank the maker for that. I mean, we are definitely ready for fans to be back, aren't we? I mean, I know AEW already talked like they were going to be going back to full capacity at Double or Nothing at Daly's place in Jacksonville. But they are also going to be going back on the road as well. I believe it was either the end of June or July, somewhere in there as well. And now WWE is doing the same thing. So this is a great thing to see. I cannot wait for crowds to come back. Sonya Deville then talked about the current champions. All the champions except Roman Reigns were standing on the stages. She introduced each one as part of the parade of champions. Deville got to Apollo Crews, but Commander Aziz demanded they cut the music. He handed the mic to Apollo Crews at this point. Crews noted he could lose the title without getting pinned tonight in the Fatal 4-Way in the main event. Regardless, he promised to defeat all of his opponents. Deville thanked Crews and then introduced the WWE Smackdown Women's Champion Bianca Belair. Deville then introduced the Tribal Chief and Universal Champion Roman Reigns. This is when Roman Reigns' old Shield music hit, not his new version. And that's when Paul Heyman walked out to this music instead. So I guess this is now Paul Heyman's theme music, I suppose, which I'm okay with. I mean, Paul is incredible. He mocked the parade of champions and said they're all just title holders, not champions. Roman isn't a title holder. He is the preeminent champion of the WWE Universe. Heyman promised that the fans would gladly purchase tickets to see Reigns. Heyman also noted that Reigns would have his own parade of champions at his leisure. Bayley jumped in the ring and noted that Belair used her ponytail to beat her, which is something we talked about on our Backlash show review last Sunday. If WWE is smart, they should use the fact that Bayley is mad that Bianca Belair used her hair, which could be considered an advantage to Belair, to win the match and retain her title against Bayley. And Bayley brings it up here, so kudos to WWE for taking this and running with it at least a little bit. We'll see if they expand on it going forward. She demanded that Sonya Deville strip Belair of the title. That's when Bianca Belair had heard enough and marched down to the ring. She got in Bayley's face, but Bayley backed off. Bayley said, it's not time, not now. And she backed away. Suddenly, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax jumped Belair from behind, which, again, to me, it's Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they lost the tag team championships and are still Raw talent, are now once again showing up on SmackDown. I thought maybe once they lost the women's tag team championships that we weren't going to see them on every show. But here they are once again feuding, and of course they jumped Belair from behind here. All three beat her down, including Bayley. That's when Natalya and Tamina jumped in for the save. The heels overpowered the faces and beat all three down. They focused their beatdown on Tamina. So this is obviously setting up a 6-woman tag, which we get immediately following the commercial break. This was a good match, all things considered. I mean, Michael Cole noted that Raw's Jax and Baszler are appearing because of the quarterly draft-to-draft invitation. So at least they explained it. But if I remember correctly, that rule was only for, 3 appearances a year? I'd have to go back and see whether or not they've appeared other times besides when they were champion. I don't think it's amounted to those 3 appearances, but we'll see how long that rule lasts. I know they've been, so far, ever since they announced that rule, I think they've kind of stuck to it for the most part. So kudos to that. I don't think anybody's broken that rule yet. So at least for one night, I'll give it a pass because they did explain it. The heels were firmly in control and cut off Natalya from her quarter. Jax slammed down Natalya for a near fall. Belair got the hot tag and ran wild. She avoided Baszler with a moonsault and hit a spine buster. Belair climbed to the top rope, but the heels dragged Baszler out of the ring. Belair changed direction and hit a crossbody to the floor, but she seemed to injure her knee on the landing. They did look kind of like it could be legit here. I think she's okay, but good sell job on Bianca Belair's part. Back from the break, Bayley worked over Belair's knee. Belair fought back and tagged in Tamina. Tamina ran wild and tagged in Natalya. Tamina then rocked Bayley with a super kick, and Natalya locked on the sharpshooter. Shayna Baszler made the tag and broke up the hold. Belair attempted a handspring moonsault, but Bayley dragged her out of the ring. Bayley then hit the Bayley to belly on the floor. Natalya knocked Bayley off the apron, but Baszler took advantage. She knocked on the Kurafita clutch on Natalya for the win. This outside of Shayna Baszler getting the win here. Thank goodness, because Shayna Baszler has been getting beat down and taking losses left and right, and I've been critical of it. I think our entire wrestling panel has been critical of it. I'm glad to see she got a good win here. However, the flip side of that coin to me is if any of you have been watching our wrestling reviews here on the channel, you know I'm a very big stickler about beating any champions that is not in a title match. And in this case, they beat two sets of champions in one swoop. They beat the SmackDown Tag Team Champions when Natalya submitted. And, of course, because she was in the match, Bianca Belair, the SmackDown Women's Champion, also took a loss here. They're going to say, well, Bianca wasn't pinned. It's kind of like in the triple threat matches where they say, oh, the one competitor wasn't pinned, so they didn't technically lose. Yes, they did. They were in this 6-woman tag match. Bianca also lost here, so I'm not going to give that praise personally, but to each their own. I'm sure there are people who did enjoy this. I like the match itself. I just thought the finish, I don't like when they beat champions. Keep the champions strong. But anyway, so there's that. At least there was a straight cut winner in this, and there wasn't some shenanigans that really led to DQs and things like that. So at least we get a winner and a loser here. So for that, I'll give it a little bit of thumbs up there. In the back, we had Caleb Braxton interviewed Big E about his upcoming match. Big E's being a big goofball here. He's in a very good mood. He noted he's going to be in the ring with dogs. Big E promised to win the Intercontinental Championship. So, just got to hype it up the main event. Nothing special, really. Aleister Black read from the Tales of the Dark Father again. Black read from the next chapter called The Beautiful Pain. It focused on the story behind his tattoos and the lessons his father taught him. He said, the people are sick and dying animals. It's time to separate the tweaking from the strong. Or it might mean the weaklings from the strong. I don't know, but that's just the way this report wrote it. It was okay. I mean, at least they're getting Aleister Black on television, and by the end of the night, I liked what they did with him. So there is that. So we'll see what happens here. Next, we had Shinsuke Nakamura come out with Rick Boogs. Don't know who this guy is. Maybe we'll find out here in this report. But he defeated King Corbin in a one-on-one match. Nakamura and Corbin had a fine match. It did drag at times and had the typical distraction finish. King Corbin, which again is something WWE. I don't mind. Let's just set the record straight here. I don't mind when wrestling companies do distractions or interferences and things like that when it calls for it. If it's good for the storyline, i.e., I'm going to say Britt Baker getting involved in Hikaru Shida and Rebels match on AEW Dynamite, because that's setting up the title feud. What bothers me is when you do it 3 or 4 times on the same show because you don't want to beat anybody. At least in the Britt Baker Hikaru Shida match, Hikaru Shida still beat Rebel pretty much clean. There wasn't much distraction going on in it, but I hate it when they do, especially in this case when Rick Boogs interrupted playing his guitar. So it distracted Corbin, obviously. Anyway, they recapped Shinsuke Nakamura taking King Corbin's crown last week and wearing it throughout the week. Corbin was furious and talked about a real king. He mocked Nakamura for taking a picture with a cat. Corbin promised to punish Nakamura and take his crown. That's when Rick Boogs interrupted, played his guitar. He then introduced Shinsuke Nakamura. The match started during the commercial break. Again, why are you starting a match at a commercial break? But anyhow, Corbin had the early advantage and hit a powerbomb on Nakamura. Nakamura recovered and hit a sliding knee for a near fall. Corbin avoided Nakamura and hit a German suplex for a 2 count. Nakamura briefly fought back, but Corbin hit the deep 6 for a very close near fall. Boogs started playing Nakamura's music on the guitar. Corbin became distracted, like we said, and Nakamura rolled him up for a near fall. Again, distraction finish, and again, a roll-up finish, which is something WWE's been, again, nothing wrong with a roll-up finish, nothing wrong with a distraction or something occasionally, but they're doing this very, very often. It's like every single show the main roster puts out, this is happening at least 2 or 3 times per night, and it's, to me, it's just a nitpick, and it's a nitpick, but it's also a big issue. I mean, you gotta start winning things straight up, and not with these nefarious means and things like that. So we get some people building up new talent, or if you take losses, at least it's a clean win, and you can build up that talent again, but nobody gets over this way. So it's a problem to me. Anyway, in the back, we had Jimmy Uso approached by Sonya Deville. He noted the Usos are ready to get back in the tag team division. Jimmy wants the smoke, he said. DeVille asked if Jimmy's sure that Ray is ready to reform the team, and Jimmy's certain Jay's got his back. DeVille agreed and announced the Usos versus the Street Profits for next week. That should be a fun match. Well, obviously, we're going to get the drama between Jimmy and Jay, but as a whole, just take the two teams together in a match, that should be a lot of fun. In the back, we had Kevin Owens. He talked about the Fatal 4-Way title match tonight. He promised to win the title and become 3-time Intercontinental Champion. So, standard hyping up the main event, which is, you need to sell it, so viewers stick around. So, at least they did that. Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Paul Heyman, they were out in the ring. Universal Champion Roman Reigns, Heyman, and Uso made their way to the ring, as a matter of fact. They recapped Reigns beating Cesaro to retain the title at WrestleMania Backlash. It also included the post-match beatdown. They piped in loud Roman sucks chants, which, again, I understand they're in the Thunderdome. But when you're piping in stuff, it comes off very hokey. And very corny at that. I get why they're doing it. So, I'm not going to destroy them too much for it because clearly they don't have a crowd right now outside of the people in the Thunderdome on the screens. So we just need to get fans back. I'll just say that. So it's coming. So hopefully, we don't have to put up with this for much longer. Reigns called himself a humble man and said he does not like to brag on live television. Okay. Instead, he's going to let his advisor Heyman celebrate him. I like this because, Roman basically said, I'm going to allow Paul Heyman to celebrate him. And then Paul plays this off like, really? I get it. You're going to let me do this? Great. And then he pulls out this microphone that's tucked into his slacks. So it's like, it's like he was ready for it, but he's like, excited that this is a rare opportunity to celebrate Roman, even though he kind of does that often. But anyway, I just loved Heyman's reaction and Roman's selling of this part of the promo. Heyman was excited, and thanks Reigns for the surprise. Heyman pointed out that Reigns set the feed to Raw, pinned Kevin Owens, and made history when he pinned Daniel Bryan and Edge at the same time. Heyman noted that Edge hasn't been back since WrestleMania, and he ended Bryan's career. He praised Reigns for beating Cesaro on his own. Heyman said it's a career highlight to acknowledge Reigns. Heyman also noted he'd do anything for Reigns. He asked Reigns what he wants him to do for him next. Reigns demanded to see his cousin. So Heyman ran over to the timekeeper or the bell guy or whatever it was on the stagehand over there at the side of the ring, and he yelled at him for Reigns wants Uso to come out the ring. Hit Uso's music now. And of course, they didn't hit Uso's music right away, and Cesaro's music hit instead. And he came out with an arm and a sling. Reigns demanded they cut off Cesaro's music. Let's see here. Cesaro noted he's looking for Seth Rollins in the back. He heard Reigns talking, so he decided to come out and talk to him instead. Cesaro demanded another title shot and challenged Reigns to a match at Hell in a Cell. Reigns laughed and asked if he should break Cesaro's other arm for him instead. Suddenly, Seth Rollins jumped Cesaro and attacked the arm that was in the sling. He viciously beat him around ringside. Referees and officials ran out and separated them. Rollins ran back to the ring and continued the attack. He hit the curb stomp on Cesaro at ringside. Referees and officials pulled Rollins off again. Rollins walked away but ran back again and hit one more curb stomp onto the ring ramp. Medical personnel ran out with a stretcher. So after this, we went to commercial break. But yeah, Reigns and Heyman were great in this segment, and I even thought the attack from Seth Rollins was very well executed. Definitely, this is not over between Seth Rollins and Cesaro. I don't know if this means we are going to get Cesaro and Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, or they still pursue the Jimmy Uso angle with Roman at that pay-per-view, and we get Cesaro and Rollins in the meantime. But they are building something here with Rollins and Cesaro for sure, and if the WrestleMania match is any indication, it should be good to watch, but we'll see where they go. But this was a good segment to kind of continue that feud, so I liked it in that regard. Back from the break, they recapped Rollins' attack with the two curb stops. In the back, EMTs were taking Cesaro away on a stretcher. When Rollins ran over to him, he yelled at Cesaro. Rollins blamed him for making Rollins act like this, because before this, Rollins was kind of an interviewer was trying to ask Rollins like why he was doing what he was doing. He acted like he was more normal, but as soon as he saw Seth, like the switch turned on and like Seth became this crazed lunatic again. So it's almost like Cesaro is making Rollins do this in Rollins' mind. So I liked how they did this. Rollins is a good crazy man. So, but yeah, we'll see where they go with this. Dominik Mysterio defeated Robert Roode in a singles match. This was a very fun but short match. They recapped Rey and Dominik Mysterio beating Ziggler and Roode to win the titles last week at WrestleMania Backlash. They showed Aaliyah Mysterio, I think that's how you say her name, and her mother celebrating the win at home. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler walked out. Roode pointed out that Rey did all the work on Sunday. He said, "Bring your son to work day is over," and that Dominik doesn't belong in the WWE. Well, who's holding the title, Robert? It's not you. Robert Roode wasted no time and attacked Dominik. He backed Dominik into a corner and hit 2 suplexes. He attempted a third, but Dominik countered into a small package for a near fall. Roode and Dominik fought on the top rope. Dominik pushed Roode to the mat, and followed up with a crossbody for a near fall. Dominik attempted a tornado DDT, but Roode pushed him off. Roode went for a powerbomb, but Dominik set up for the 619. Ziggler distracted Dominik, but Rey attacked him at ringside. Roode rolled up Dominik for a near fall. The finish came when Dominik hit the 619 on Robert Roode and followed up with the frog splash for the win. So kind of called back to their WrestleMania Backlash win where they hit the frog splash in honor of Eddie Guerrero here. So yeah, like I said, good fun match. Dominik Mysterio is, rapidly improving in my eyes. I think he's a fun guy to watch. And obviously this whole angle they're taking with Rey and Dominik being the first father-son team to win the tag team titles is a good storyline. I just wish they maybe could have had it either at WrestleMania in front of a crowd or waited till a crowd came back, because it would have been a big pop, because obviously Rey is loved by the fans. And his son Dominik, obviously from all the years back when he was supposedly Eddie Guerrero's son and the whole Poppy angle. So, I mean, obviously they're paying tribute to the late, great Eddie Guerrero here as well, and kudos all around to that storyline. I'm not a big fan of Roode Ziggler, but they're playing their part here to build up the Mysterios, so they got that going for them. In the back, Jimmy Uso approached Jey Uso. Jimmy celebrated and noted they got a match with the Street Profits. Jey didn't like that Jimmy made the match without asking him. Jimmy noted that Jey won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal without Reigns. Jey thought about it and decided he needs to tell Reigns about the match next week, though. Then we had Michael Cole and Pat McAfee discussing fans returning in a few weeks. McAfee was so excited that he jumped to his feet. And speaking of Pat McAfee, by the way, let's jump back a couple matches ago to Shinsuke versus King Corbin here. When Shinsuke's theme music was being played by Rick Boogs, Pat McAfee jumped up and started playing his air guitar right in front of Michael Cole. I absolutely died laughing at that. I thought that was actually pretty funny because Pat McAfee is a very entertaining individual. And, of course, Michael Cole was selling it like, get out of my face, Pat. But anyway, it was just classic, kind of like Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon type chemistry, and I really enjoyed it. Let's see here. In the back, Jey Uso approached Roman Reigns in his dressing room. Jey pointed out that Jimmy made the match without asking him. Reigns talked about everything they've done together, and Reigns whispered in Jey's ear and walked off. The Street Profits then talked about the Usos in the back. They mocked the Usos and promised to defeat them next week. Montez Ford had this great impersonation of Jimmy Uso. I thought he nailed it, actually, based on all the stuff he's been telling Jey lately. And this was a great impersonation, so go check that out. It was a lot of fun. Behind the curtain, Caleb Braxton approached Sami Zayn, actually. He called her a corporate hack, and he knows what she's trying to do. Zayn promised to regain his title tonight at the Fatal 4-Way at the end. Again, another wrestler in that match, Bill in the main event. So, again, at least they're being consistent and having all the members of the match discuss it before it happens. They announced Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler against WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Natalya and Tamina on Raw this Monday. So, again, this feud has gone on too long. I think it's time for Natalya and Tamina to move on to another team to feud with, but let's be honest. WWE doesn't have any women's tag teams outside of these two teams for the most part. They've got Mandy and Dana Brooke. I think they got the Riot Squad, but there's really nobody that's moving the needle, so to speak. So that's why they're continuing to do this, and it's just a problem with WWE. They feel like they don't have any talent or any superstars built up, but the problem is you don't build it up. So we get rematches all the time, and it's a shame because that's not going to be any reason anybody watches Raw for sure. Then we had the main event, the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental Championship match with Apollo Crews defending his title against Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Big E. This was a very fun, good SmackDown main event here. They everyone worked really hard. They worked at a very fast pace. Owens went after Zayn at the bell. They rolled to the floor and brawled around ringside. In the ring, Big E rocked Cruz with a back elbow. Owens took advantage and caught Big E with a step up enziguri. Zayn jumped Owens and choked him on the top rope. Big E recovered and pulled Zayn to ringside. Big E placed Zayn and Cruz on the apron and hit the big splash. Owens then took advantage and hit a flip dive onto Big E, wiping him out. Back from commercial break, Cruz rocked Big E with a standing drop kick. Cruz sent Owens into the ring steps. He then hit a moonsault off the apron onto Big E. Zayn attacked Cruz and hit a moonsault off the barricade. Owens then rocked Zayn with a clothesline and hit a swanton in the ring. Big E broke up the pin attempt and traded shots with Owens. Cruz took over after dropping Big E on the top rope. He followed up with 3 rolling German suplexes. Owens broke up the pin attempt with a senton. Zayn gave Owens the exploder suplex in the corner. Owens avoided the haluva kick. He went for the stunner, but Zayn reversed into a pin for a near fall attempt. Zayn then followed up with a Michinoku driver for a close near fall. Zayn attempted to give Owens a superplex, but Owens reversed into the Fisherman's Buster. Cruz broke up the pin attempt at that point. Apollo Crews avoided the spear through the ropes. Owens and Cruz fought on the apron. Cruz knocked Owens down, but Big E caught Cruz with the spear off the apron. Back from the break, Cruz hit a suplex on Big E for a near fall. Cruz hit everyone in the ring, but focused his attack on Big E. Big E fought back and hit a belly-to-belly on Cruz. Zayn and Cruz again. He went from a splash, but Zayn caught him with a boot to the face. Zayn avoided the pop-up powerbomb, but Owens had a fisherman's neckbreaker for a near fall. Owens then climbed to the top rope, but Cruz cut him off. Big E gave Cruz and Zayn a German suplex. Owens then hit a frog splash on Cruz for a close near fall. Owens took over and hit a cannonball in the corner on Big E and Apollo Crews. The Sami Zayn recovered and hit the Blue Thunderbomb for another very close near fall. Zayn climbed to the top rope, but Crews and Zayn cut him off. And Zayn avoided Owens and jumped off. Big E went for the big ending on Sami Zayn, but Owens hit a super kick on both. He then hit a pop-up powerbomb on Cruz for the close 2 count. Zayn took Owens on the floor. In the ring, though, Big E caught Zayn with a Uranagi and hit the big ending on Cruz. Aziz pulls Big E out of the ring to break up the pin attempt because Big E had this match won at this point. Big E fought back and sent Aziz into the ring post. Of course, this being no DQ, Aziz could get involved. Big E jumped back into the ring, but the lights went out and they dimmed and the smoke filled the arena. This is when suddenly Aleister Black walked out of the smoke. Big E was in shock and confused. Apollo Crews then grabbed Big E's leg and Black hit the Black Mass on Big E as Crews then pinned Big E to retain his Intercontinental Championship. And the show ended with Aleister Black basically standing tall over Big E here and costing Big E the Intercontinental title. So Apollo Crews retaining, that's good. There's no need to take the belt off of him right now. But all in all, this was a great match. This was a great ending to a good SmackDown show, I thought, overall. There wasn't a whole lot of nonsense. There was a little things here and there, which, again, there's nothing wrong with nonsense occasionally, but when you do it all the time, it's a problem. But this SmackDown actually kept that to a minimum. So all in all, I think this was a good show. And, of course, the ending coming with Aleister Black, giving the Black Mass to Big E, that's setting up another feud here to get Aleister Black and Big E in the ring, which could be a lot of good matches moving forward for those two. As for Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, I don't know if they're going to continue to feud with Apollo Crews or not, but for this night alone, I think this was a very good ending to a very good show. But the big question is, though, what did you guys think about this SmackDown show here? Comment down below, hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all notifications about when we put up new content on this channel. And hopefully next week we'll have the guys back. We'll be doing our Raw, NXT, AEW, and SmackDown reviews for you here on the channel. Until our next video, guys, take care.
Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I could drop you, bro. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable.